Okay, I'll just quickly run this one more time and then we'll create it from scratch here. So again, we've got the ball that naturally falls and we've got the one rogue block here, if you will. The ball is a little bit more powerful and we'll push it out of the way, but this will start to rise and it will exit and then re-enter on the opposite side, again known as a wrap. And I do have three controls for the ball. I can go left, right, left and right arrows control those, and spacebar will push it up so I can kind of move out of the way. And every time it hits the purple brick, you hear that beep sound. So I'm just going to stop that now and we'll create this from scratch. I do have the sounds and the graphic has already been created in Adobe Photoshop. So let's just close this and open a new file here. And new file, I will call it last name underscore 3C. That's the exercise number. Make it iPad landscape and click resolution independence. Click create project. And I'm just going to do a quick save as here. Alright, so in my desktop, I do have a folder for these. Let's find here, GameSalad exercises. And we'll just save this in there. Okay, so now it's saved in my GameSalad folder. And as you can see here, I'm starting with a blank slate. If I hide the backstage, there's my iPad sized stage. Here's my library again and my attributes. So let's start by bringing in, we'll just bring in the graphic, the green ball. So I'll go over to my media tab and add the asset. And I do have that in a folder on my desktop, sounds and graphics, green ball. Again, it's a PNG file, which allows for transparency. And I created it at twice the intended size, 128 square, 128 pixels square. So let's just highlight that. Actually, that's just in the library for the media. I want to turn that into an actor. There's a couple of ways I could do that. I could drag it straight to the stage, and that would generate it within an actor, which is a nice quick way of doing it, and I think I will do that. The other way would be to go over here, create a new actor, and under actor attributes, select the graphic that would be from a list from within my library. But let's do the shortcut. So from the library, it's called green dash ball. I just drag that to the stage. Now it is twice the size that I wanted it to be, but you can see here, as soon as it goes onto the stage, the attributes pop up and I can come and change the size and so on. You can also see my backstage access here as well. So let's just start by resizing it here. I'm going to go to size. I just double click on that and we'll make it half the size, which is 64 pixels by 64 pixels. I've hit my enter key and there we go. So there's the green ball. Now if I go over to my actors now, you will see that an actor got generated. So I'm just going to rename that actor. I will call it green ball as well. I'll just use one word though with camel case. There we go, green ball. So I do need to make a second actor. I'm just going to leave green ball as is for now, but I do need to make the little bricks, which I've called platform. So let's just create a new actor here while I'm under the actors tab. I'll call it platform and we'll give it some color and size, and then I can drag those onto the stage and position them accordingly. So color, I just picked a purple here. Click OK. And let's see, for size it doesn't matter too much because I will be doing a lot of resizing, but just to be consistent, I'll make these 64 as well. 64 by 64 pixels square. And at this point I can drag it onto the stage. I'm going to hide my backstage area for now. Drag the platform here and I'll create an enclosed area to start with. And I can alt click and drag to duplicate elements that are already on the stage. And I'll drag this out again and create some walls now. The idea here is to contain the ball into this sort of play area. Again, Alt click and drag, and then relocate that to where I want to put it. And let's just say, how's that? Okay, I'm just going to do a quick save here. I've done a bit of work. Save. Alright, so I've got a wall contained. What I'm going to do now is actually make some of those barriers, if you will, that you saw in the demo. So I'll just drag this out again. And these actually will make narrower, I guess. And I can rotate by going to that rotate icon like that and move them around. So I'm just going to Alt click and drag a few of these guys around and strategically locate them. I won't put too many, I don't think, maybe about 5 at the most. Alright, so if we put this a little higher, this one here, I'll make it so that if it actually comes off of here, rolls off of there, it could maybe roll onto there. Maybe. Make that a little longer maybe. And Alt click and drag. Rotate. Okay, and I'll do one more. Alt click and drag, and this will be the rogue. And I'll just leave it like that, I guess. Maybe I could, you know what, I'll just change its shape and it'll be easier for you to recognize. There you go. So that sort of squarish one will be the rogue. And again, I'm just going to save as I go here. Alright, so I've got all of my elements into play, or on the stage. Nothing's plugged in yet. If I was to hit preview once again, I would just see it as a static image. So let's go and start to create some motion. I think what I'll do first is I'll create that imitation gravity on the ball. So I will highlight green ball, go over to my behaviors, and I'll use the same thing I've been using all along, which is the accelerate behavior. We just drag it into our behavior area down here, and I'm actually going to bring this way up. And it's all about the direction in this first box. The direction I want to be downwards, which is 270 degrees. And the acceleration, let's just leave it at 100, and I'll do a quick test preview on that. I'm just going to save it first though. Alright, so quick preview. It's not there yet, I guarantee you, but let's just see what we have. Alright, so the ball just kind of passes behind everything because that was the first thing on the stage. So I want to make it so that it does recognize the purple elements and collides with them. That way it will be contained and it will actually have to bounce off of these other elements. So let's add a collision here, a collide rather. So that's just a little farther down my list. Collide, and I'll say collide with platform. Platform, okay, and we'll save that. And if I test that, now it should collide, but I'm already anticipating that I have not locked down these platform blocks, so they're just going to go bouncing all over the place. But as you can see, and this thing's acting weird too. It's actually going in different directions. You see how it's spinning? We don't want that because, let me just go back to the editor, because the way accelerate works, it's like a little rocket engine on one side and it pushes in that direction. So you can imagine if the rocket's spinning, the rocket engine is also spinning and it's going to push it in that specific direction. So let's go back to our actor attributes and down inside of physics we'll lock the rotation, fixed rotation. Alright, so that's one thing. Now let's also go back to our actors here, and on platform we're going to make it so that it's not movable. So that's also under physics. And where is it here? Movable, just uncheck movable. So let's save that and we'll give that a quick try. Okay, so a little better. But you can see here that we're getting a lot of bounce. So I'm going to turn the bounce down to 0 on these purple elements, and I'll turn it down to 0.5 on the green element. And you can also see there's like a bounding box issue, like an invisible bounding box, because it's actually inside of a square. So we can actually change that too, so that it will look like it actually touches the ball. So that's another element that we'll have to deal with. I believe it's under graphics. So back to editor. Let's change the bounciness on the purple elements to 0. Okay, and I'll go back to the green ball, down to the physics. And the bounciness, where is it? Right here. I'm going to change that to 0.5. And I see here that the bounding box element, which is known as the collision shape, is actually also inside of the physics. So we just go down here. Now luckily for me this is a circle, so that kind of works here. And I just choose circle, save it, and test it again, and it should be a bit better now. You see, now it looks like it's actually the ball hitting. And the bounciness is just a little more tame, if you will. But now we have some consistency, we have gravity, we have purple blocks locked down, and I think what I'll do now is actually just give this green ball some left, right, and up motion. And we're going to use another new method for that today. So again, back to the editor. In my green ball, I'm just going to collapse these windows because I'm going to need the room here soon, and start a new rule. Okay, so the first rule, let's just say it's a move right. So we'll add a condition. And I'll go down up to the conditions, and it's going to be a key press. That'll be the only condition for today, just the key press. So we drag that into here, and I just put my cursor inside of there, and I just hit the right arrow key. Okay, and I'm just going to change the name as well to move right. Okay, so it's going to have more of a momentum with the method we're going to use, and I'm going to use what's called a change attribute. So I've opened up the do area. Again, we're not going to use the alternate action under else, we're just going to use the do. So I'll just go down here and change attribute, drag that in. Now this is a whole new creature, if you will. So let me show you how this works. We've got this attribute editor here. And if I click on there, I can move this around, but I got to drill my way down. Now remember, we're working on green ball. So if I type there, you can see we can affect attributes for games, devices, as well as the item we currently have selected. So that's what I want to affect, is the green ball. And what do I want to affect? I want to affect its motion. So there's a lot of it. You can see that it's a lot of nesting here. So let me go back. So under motion, I want to deal with the linear velocity, and I have two choices at the end of that chain, X, which is horizontal, and Y, which is vertical. I want to affect the X velocity. So I select that, or I can just double click it, and you can see it's represented there with the dot syntax. Self, meaning this item, will have the motion, linear velocity, X affected, and I'm just going to set this to a number, and I'll choose 300. That's the velocity. Just through trial and error, I just found that that's a reasonable number. And I can hit my enter key there, I guess. And that should give me some motion to the right now. So I will test that at this time. Okay, so I do have gravity, but there we go. And you can see when I let go, it still has momentum because we're just dealing with velocity. The move command is very rigid. This is a little more natural. And again, even when it's down on the bottom here, I can push it to the right. And 300, it does have a little bit of zip set at 300. So we've done that for the right. We can basically copy that rule, change the key press and the direction for the left. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'll just collapse that, and with an alt click and a drag, I will change the name. Move left. Alright, and I'll change the key press. I could type it in, but I will use my keyboard to insert it. And then under the do, the way we change direction when we're referring to an attribute is positive numbers on the x-axis move to the right, negative numbers move to the left. So I just have to put a negative in front of this number, minus 300. I just hit my tab key to enter that, save it, and we should be good now with both a left and a right command on the keyboard. So let me just try that. There's my left, there's my right. Okay, so you can see that that's totally working right there. So I'm just going to add one more to create what would be like a jump or an up motion. Same exact idea, we're just going to change the angle basically and the key. So let me collapse that. You can also see again that the rules are color coded in blue. So I'm going to copy this latest one here, Alt click and drag, and I'll call it move up. We'll go inside there, and I'll change the key press. This one I'm going to attach to the spacebar. If you want to attach it to your up arrow, by all means, but I would say pick one of the two so it doesn't confuse me when I'm checking the work. And now I will go to the do, and we do have to change this to the y-axis, so I need to go back in here and reset that. So under change attribute, we'll choose green ball, motion, linear velocity, and double click the y. Now this is supposed to go up, so I will remove that minus symbol and hit my tab key there. Just save it and test it, and I should have all three motions based on commands on the keyboard. So I'll just try the upward, and that's hooked up to the space bar. Okay, and left, right, up. So I can kind of navigate. I can't push myself down. Gravity will take care of that, or that accelerate command, which is imitating gravity, will get me to the bottom, but I can't push it to the bottom per se. I can push it to the left, to the right, and upwards. Alright, so just to add one more element, I'm going to introduce another new feature to you called the wrap feature. So we'll introduce some motion to this roadblock, if you will. Oh, we're going to do sound as well, actually. Yes, we'll save that till last. But let's give this roadblock some upwards motion, like it's floating, like it's full of hot air, but it'll actually accelerate. And I'll create the feature called wrap, where when it exits the stage on one end, it'll re-enter on the sort of coordinated spot on the opposite end. Let's go back and do that now. And with that, we're also going to create an instance. This will be the first time we create an instance. So I'm going to hide this for a second. I'm going to actually select this on the stage this time. All right, so let's go out to our backstage, and I will click on the instance tab and actually unlock it here. Alright, so with this I just want to create an accelerate, and I want it to go upwards. So very simply, it's like that fake gravity but upside down. We just got to tell it 90 degrees. And I'll also leave it at 100 as a starting place. If I find it's too fast or too slow, I can make the adjustment. So let's just see what that gives me now. Oh, and it's not moving yet. This is why we test frequently. I will go back and I'll actually unlock the motion for that. So under physics, I'll make it movable. There we go. So let's try that now. And there you go. And it's tumbling. I actually don't mind the tumble feature. I'm going to leave it tumbling, actually, in this case. But it has left the scene and it's now gone. So let's create what's called a wrap. And that's actually attributed to the scene. So I'm going to go over to my scene tab. And you see here, wrap X, wrap Y. This is horizontal, this is vertical. So let's just cover all our bases and click wrap on both of those. So now when something leaves the stage, it will re-enter on the opposite side. Let's try that. Okay, so we do have a little bit of collision going on here. And then there we go. And there is our wrap feature. Now it's just like falling through space. And because it's tumbling, its direction will change. Let's imagine there's a little rocket engine behind one of its sides, right? If I want it to keep going straight up, which, you know what, I've just changed my mind. I'm going to make it go just straight up. I would just have to go in here and go back to my actor's attributes, and we'll just say fixed rotation. So it will no longer rotate. Okay, so that is actually closer to the example I showed you earlier. But you can see the variations that you can apply to get different results, different reactions, if you will. So the only thing left here to do, I think, is really to add some sound. Thought I'd leave the annoying part to the end. So here we go. Again, I should save. Save frequently. Okay, so I'm going to hide the stage here for a second, and I'm going to attach the sound to the green ball. So I'll go back to the actor, green ball, and I will call up the backstage now. And I will create a new rule based on a collision, play a sound. And there is actually a behavior called play sound. So let's just generate a new rule. And again, the condition will be on a collision. So here are my conditions. All right, and collides or overlaps with actor called platform. So I'll open up the do area. Just drag this up a bit more, and I'll go down a bit further here, and we will look for the play sound. Play sound. Play music would be for the longer tracks, but play sound for short sounds is what we would use here. And I think I missed the target on my drag and drop. I could grab this and move it around, but you know what, I'm just going to highlight it there and delete. That was not intentional, but regardless, we do need to pay attention where we're dragging. And just below the do, there we go. Now it's nested, and that's something you do need to be cautious about, that you do drag your elements where they have to go. Alright, so under here, oh, I didn't import my sounds yet. Let me go over to my library here and import some sounds. The reason I noticed that I didn't import sounds is my list here, it should have shown me the name of the first sound in the list, and it's currently blank. So now you know how you access them through the pull down menu there. So let's just add some sounds right now that I do have in a folder. And I think they're in the same folder. There they are. So I'm just going to grab them all with my shift key and go open. And I think I'll use the one called coin. You can hear it there. So in the pull down menu, I'll just choose coin. Alright, so here we go. Test, play. Okay, as I said, highly annoying. And I can navigate my way out and around, let's say, to get out of this jam, if you will. Let's go back here. Now you can adjust volumes and so on here. I'm just going to leave it at the default today, but I think it goes from 1 to 9 or 0 to 10 perhaps. You can find out by dragging the slider. Yeah, 0 to 10. There you go. And everything in between. It's some pretty fractal numbers, if you will. You can highlight them, and you can actually put in an integer, a whole number. And just hit your tab key to enter that. And away we go. So that's how we apply sound. So I'll actually change the rule here to say play sound as well, and definitely change that or save that file. And I believe that really is it. That takes us to the end of the assignment here. So this is what I want you to build for me today. Zip it up, zip up the project, and upload that to Blackboard. And that's your assignment for today.